In section 54, we will work with units. The use of the calculator is required for this section. Joe is looking for an apartment to live in. He finds 4 available apartments. He then records the monthly rent and the size of each apartment in a table as seen below. Based on the information in the table, which apartment has the highest cost per square foot? So when we're looking to determine what type of units we're going to be working in, we want to look at where it says cost per square foot. And so I'm going to set that up with cost being in the numerator and then square feet being in the denominator. So now I have to look at each of the different apartments. We have Branton Avenue, which is going to be $500 being the cost per 400 square feet. And that is going to give me 1.25. So take a minute to do the same thing with the rest of those and see if you can determine which one has the highest cost per square foot. So for Dobbs Street, we would be looking at 600 divided by 450, and that's going to give me 1.33. For St. Clair, it would be 750 divided by 500, which is 1.5. And for Woodwick, it's 800 divided by 550, which is going to be 1.45. So now if I'm looking for the highest cost per square foot, that's going to end up being St. Clair Road, because that one is going to be $1.50 per square foot. For number 2, the table below gives the number of ounces and prices of different bottles of body wash. We're looking for which has the lowest price per ounce. So again, price per ounce is going to tell us the units. We're going to put price in the numerator, and we're going to divide that by the number of ounces. So as I go through and look at bottle A, it's 99 cents for 12 ounces. So you can see that when we divide that, I'm getting 0.0825. So now take a minute and find the other ones and see if you can figure out which one has the lowest price per ounce. For B, we'll have $2.97 divided by 21 ounces. That's going to give me 0.1414. For C, $3.97 for 32 ounces. That's going to give me 0.124. This one is $34.50 for all 6 bottles. So there's a few different ways to do this, but what I've done here is taking $34.50 divided by 6, which gives me the price per bottle. Now I'm going to take that and look at if its cost is $5.75 for 24 ounces, then dividing that out is going to give me approximately 0.24. And so when I'm looking at this one having the lowest price per ounce, that is going to have to be bottle A. For number 3, a 40 milliliter bottle of pre-diluted tea tree oil contains 5% concentration of the active ingredient. If the seller charges $14.96 for the total amount of active ingredient in the bottle, what is the price per milliliter of the active ingredient? So again, if I'm looking at the concentration here, I'm taking the full amount and I want to figure out what that 5% concentration is. So 40 times 5% would be, the decimal would be 0.05. That's going to give me 2 milliliters of active ingredient. From here, we want to note that the seller is charging $14.96 for the total amount of active ingredient. So with that in mind, since there's 2 milliliters of active ingredient here, we're calculating the price per milliliter. I'm going to take that price, $4.96, and divide that by what we just figured out was the active ingredient, which is 2, and that's going to give me $7.48. So that's the price per milliliter of the active ingredient. For number 4, the accounts receivable turnover ratio is the ratio of net credit sales to average accounts receivable. The turnover ratio shows the average number of times per year that the company collects its debt. For example, a turnover ratio of 12 means that the company takes about 1 month to collect its debts, while a turnover ratio of 2/3 means the company takes about 18 months to collect its debts. The question here is, how many months does it take the company whose accounts are shown in the table above to collect its debts? So take a few minutes and see if you can calculate that. So again, we want to look at net credit sales to average accounts receivable. So that's going to tell me what my fraction is going to be. Now from there, if our net credit sales are $72,000 and our average accounts receivable would be $9,000, that's going to end up giving us 8 for this one. Now from there, the turnover ratio is showing us the average number of times per year that the company is collecting that debt. So if it's 8 times within 1 year, and we're looking at how many months is it going to take, and since it's 12 months and we're going to collect this 8 times, that would reduce down to 3/2. So 3/2 is going to be our answer for number 4. For number 5, Ming plans to purchase one of the air conditioning units described in the table below. He expects to run the unit 900 hours per year, and it costs him 12 cents per kilowatt hour for energy. To the nearest year, how many years will it take for the energy savings to be greater than the extra cost of purchasing unit B? So I'll start by looking at the yearly cost for each one. So if I start with unit A, and I can say it's 1.22 kWh per hour, and I'm trying to calculate that we're going to run this for 900 hours per year. So basically what that tells me is when I'm multiplying by something, I'm going to multiply by, I'm trying to cancel out the hours, so because I want this to be in years. So that means that I should be multiplying this by 900 hours over 1 year. Again, that's going to cancel this unit. And then from there, I want to cancel out the kWh as well. And we're told that it's 12 cents per kilowatt hour. So I can put the 0.12 in the numerator, and then that's per 1 kWh. Again, that's going to cancel out my kWh's. So if I calculate that out, I'm multiplying 1.22 times 900 times 0.12, it's going to give me $131.76 per year. For B, we'll do the same thing. We're multiplying it by the exact same conversion figures, and I end up getting $114.48 per year. Now, unit B is going to be cheaper to run per year, but the upfront purchase cost is more expensive. So we need to consider what the savings is going to be and how many years it's going to take to make up the $150 difference. So if I talk about the savings here, it is a savings of $17.28 per year, and you can do it this way. You're basically just subtracting these two numbers. So with that in mind, we consider the extra cost for unit B to be $150. So I'll be setting up a proportion, and I'm going to set up $17.28 per year has to be equal to $150, and I'm looking for the number of years. So from there, if I cross multiply to solve, I get approximately 8.68 years. Since it's saying to the nearest year then, I'm going to call that 9 years. So in an example like this, we're thinking about when is it going to make sense to spend the extra money to purchase unit B? Well, obviously, if you're planning on staying in this property for a long time and using this air conditioning system for a long time, it makes sense to go with unit B. But in some situations, it might make more sense to go with unit A. In Uruguay, dollars to pesos are both accepted as payment. Kaori is a tourist from Japan who only has $100 left at the end of her trip. Right before she leaves, she buys a beautiful scarf that costs 960 pesos. The exchange rate of pesos to dollars is 24-1. When she returns to Japan, Kaori exchanges her dollars for yen at the rate of 1:105. How many yen does Kaori have left after she returns to Japan? So this would be a good time to pause the video and try to calculate the amount. Okay, so the tourist has $100. She's buying a scarf that costs 960 pesos. So we're going to want to get the dollar equivalent to that. And since we're told that pesos to dollars is 24-1, if I'm trying to cancel out the pesos here, I want to make sure that when I'm multiplying that, I've got the pesos amount in the denominator here and the dollar amount in the top. So again, pesos would be the 24, dollars would be the 1, and that's where we're coming up with this. So that's equivalent to $40. So we can take that away, and we know that she has $60 left. Now from there, we want to think about when she gets to Japan, she's going to exchange those dollars to yen. And so if we want to take those dollars and cancel the dollars, we want to make sure that dollars is in the denominator and yen would be in the numerator. Again, that way the dollars would cancel. So now if I multiply 60 times 105, that gives me 6,300 yen, and that would be our answer. For number 7, a human hair is approximately 40 microns wide. If 1 micron is equal to 10 to the negative 6 meters and 1 nanometer is equivalent to 10 to the negative 9 meters, how many nanometers wide is a human hair? So again, I'm starting with that 40 microns, and I'm going to try to cancel out the microns and convert that into meters. So initially, again, if I'm trying to cancel out our microns, I want to make sure that this is in the denominator so that these will then cancel. But then from there, I'm going to convert that into nanometers. So again, I want to cancel the meters, which means put meters in the denominator. So the 10 to the negative 9th part is going to have to go in the bottom with the 1 nanometer in the top. So the units are going to end up in nanometers like we want, and I'm going to be multiplying this out. That's going to end up giving me 40,000 nanometers. One way to recognize this right here is if I've got 10 to the negative 6 over 10 to the negative 9th, you could think about flipping them as far as they have negative exponents, so you could flip them. Then what you would be doing is subtracting their exponents. 9 minus 6 is going to give you 10 to the 3rd. So if I was multiplying 40 times 10 to the 3rd, that's where that 40,000 is going to come from. Now at this point, you can go ahead and do the exit slip associated with this lesson, and your homework is in the practice set.